Right. You all know this phone. This is the Galaxy S20. It's a perfect flagship for most people. It has a 6.1-inch Quad HD AMOLED panel. It has 120 Hz. It has a camera that can zoom into 30 times. It has 60 megapixel. It's basically the perfect all-around smartphone for most people. Now, I've been using this phone now for a year and a half, and I was always wondering myself, why am I not getting the Ultra? Now fast forward today, and I do now. This is my honest review of the Galaxy S22 Ultra. The Galaxy S22 Ultra. This phone is a beast, and I do not have much to say about it, because everything already has been said about this phone. Look at big YouTubers reviewing the S22 Ultra. You already know the specs of this phone. But, I'm gonna go briefly over the specs since this is my own video and, I'm not sponsored by any brand, so this is hard-earned money that I paid for this. I got the 512GB with 12GB of RAM version, so this is the second most expensive Galaxy S22 Ultra you can buy. The most expensive one is the 1TB version, obviously, and that's gonna set you back 1,600 euros. This one is about $100 cheaper. And yeah, you're probably thinking, for a phone, are you crazy? Yeah, maybe. A little. Alright, Galaxy S22 Ultra in the flesh! Now this one is indeed the 512GB version with 12GB of RAM. And you're probably wondering, comparing it to the box of the S20, yeah, it doesn't come with a charger, it doesn't come with a case. This is all you get, the phone and the USB cable. Now obviously, I did order some things with it, so that makes it even more expensive. We got the Spigen Tough Armor case. It's the case that I prefer to use on all my Galaxy devices, including now the S22 Ultra. Because if I would drop this phone, it has Gorilla Glass Victus on the back and front, but I do not want it to shatter. Because that happened with my S20, and it's just not a good view. It's not a good view. Alright. Now obviously what I ordered besides the case is, of course, the 45-watt charging brick, and that cost around $40. So yeah, you gotta pay for that. If you want the 45-watt charging, fast charging, yeah, you gotta pay more money to Samsung. But yeah, that's not how it works. Everything costs money, unfortunately. Now, anyways, let's open it. There you go. When you open the box, you got the phone. Usually it comes with a protective layer. Obviously, I've already used this phone. Then you got your little instruction booklet, which includes the USB-C to USB-C and your SIM card tool. SIM card tool remover. There we go. Let's put the put the box on the side. There we go. And this is the almighty Galaxy S22 Ultra. Let's boot her up again. Now, I do not like that it doesn't say what phone it is on the power-up screen. When I power on the S20, it always says Galaxy S20 or the S21 Plus or the S20 Ultra, and I do not like that they stopped doing that. Now, obviously, the burgundy, it's a beautiful color. In person, it does pop more. But yeah, alright, let me just quickly type in my PIN. And there we go. And this is a 6.8-inch Quad AMOLED display with adaptive 120 Hz refresh rate, which means that when the screen is static, right now, like this, it is lower the refresh rate is lower to 1 Hz. On the S20 that I'm using to record this video, when the screen is static, it only lowers the refresh rate to 10 hertz, which uses more battery. So this actually quite nice that they implemented that feature. Now, as you can see, it's a big phone. This is actually a two-handed phone. I would not recommend using this single-handed. It is possible, but it's just, uncomfortable. Now, as you probably can see, that's why they always say that this is the Note 22 Ultra, because it's basically the same design as the Note 20. And obviously, we have the integrated S Pen as well. So they actually, for 2022, they wanted to implement the Note features on the Galaxy S line. So the Note line and the S line has actually merged. And I do think that's a great idea because, the S21 Ultra had S Pen support, but you had to buy the stylus separately. And it wasn't that comfortable, carrying that around because you had a huge case with the S Pen attached to it, and it was just not handy. Now, like I said, this is the 512 gigabyte version, as you can see. The standard version comes with 8 gigabytes of RAM and 128 gigabytes of internal storage. Now, as you probably know, this phone can record up to 4K 60 frames per second and 8K 24 frames a second. Now, if you record in 8K, now obviously it's gonna take up a lot of storage. And just the phone alone, when you unlock it and when you get your Galaxy S22 Ultra, it's already filled and packed with a lot of apps. Like 20 gigabytes is already taken by the standard Samsung apps and all the bloatware, actually. Now, it isn't as terrible as the old Samsung phones, but it's still something to keep in mind. I wouldn't say that it's necessary to buy a 512 gigabyte storage phone because it's actually ridiculous. Most people will never use 512 gigabytes of storage on their phone. So I would say the sweet spot is 256 gigabytes storage. Now, unlike last year, you got the option last year with the S21 to get the S21 Ultra with 12 gigabytes as standard. And then you got an option to upgrade to 16 gigabytes. So they actually lowered the RAM for this phone with the new generation, unfortunately. So it's something I do not really like, but from a business perspective, it's smart. For people, when people are paying for this phone, and this phone starts at around $1,200 or 1,200 euros, for the 128 gigabyte version, people are gonna be like, yeah, for $100 more, I can get a 256 gigabyte storage and the 12 gigabytes of RAM, so I'm gonna pick that version. Now, I picked this version because I couldn't wait. I initially ordered the red special edition, but I just couldn't wait 1 month and a half to actually receive the phone. I was too impatient. You know how it goes with money. So I went online and checked, and all the 128 gigabyte versions were pretty much sold out. Or they didn't have it in the color that I wanted. So I was looking at the, more expensive ones, and the 256 was also kind of sold out. So yeah, I just, pulled the trigger and paid $1,500 for this phone. Now, I'm not gonna go through all the specs because you can already watch another video on YouTube that has better quality and explaining every feature of this phone. It's not, so I'm not gonna bore you with that. It's just an honest review. And I got this phone for a week now, something like that. And honestly, I'm in love with it. It is much smoother. The display is, the previous display on the S21 Ultra, when I saw it in the stores, it was nice. But the thing is, with this screen, it brightens up to 1750 nits instead of the normal 1500 nits that you get on the S21 Ultra. So legibility in full sunlight is amazing. I mean, it's not that big of a difference, but I'm comparing, the difference between the older generation, which was already an amazing phone on its own. The S21 Ultra was already an amazing phone on its own. And taking that and improving an already perfect phone, it's pretty impressive that Samsung keeps improving their display, their settings, because on my S20 when I went to display, now obviously I keep my screen in vivid mode because the colors pop more. This option isn't on the S20. So you either have to lower your resolution, so you have 3 resolutions, and with the S20 that I'm recording this video with, you had to lower your resolution to get the full motion smoothness of the 120 Hertz. So it's either motion smoothness or higher display screen resolution. Now with this phone, you can actually use the best screen resolution with the 120 Hertz. Now obviously it's gonna drain your battery more, but besides that, I do not find myself charging this phone regularly. Like, I can easily do 2 days with this phone without having to charge it. Now, if you play games on it, yeah, obviously you're gonna have to charge it once the day is over, because it's gonna be at 30% when the day's over. But with the 5000 milliamp hour battery, it's plentiful. I would have liked to see that Samsung would have put a bigger battery inside a phone like this, especially for the price, if you consider it. They could easily put a 6,000 to 7,000 milliamp hour battery inside this phone, but they didn't. Now, okay, from a profit perspective, I do see that, it would cost them a bit too much. If I'm not saying that this is an expensive phone to produce, but I see it profit-wise. They're trying to give you the best of the best. Now, gaming-wise, I have a couple of games like Genshin Impact and a couple of stuff. But I do not regularly game on my phone. It's more like a business thing that I'm using it for. But yeah, let's go to the camera, because this is where it all shines. The S22 Ultra has a lot of new features that the S21 Ultra doesn't have. Like, night mode has been impressively more enhanced. So when you're taking photos at night, it's also in their campaign. When you're taking photos in a low light condition, the photos should be more sharp than on the S21 Ultra. Now, obviously, the photos as well are more crisp. So, like I said, you can zoom up to 100 times with this camera. And, the image quality overall compared to the last generation, the S21 Ultra, when you took a photo at 100 times zoom, it was just blurry. And with this phone, it's still blurry, but, the quality is still pretty darn good for, considering it is zoomed in 100 times. I do not know why you would ever use 100 times zoom on your phone, but I just did. I took a couple pictures, 30 times zoom. Now I will show the 100 times zoom, and yeah, it's pretty clear sitting from behind that couch. So overall, the camera experience has been enhanced overall. Now it's still a bit laggy. Now it isn't as snappy as an iPhone. I must say that when I tried out the iPhone 13 Pro Max, which is remarkably cheaper than this phone, remarkably $200-300, but still, for the normal version. And, I do think that the iPhone is snappier, but what you get with this is customization. And with the iPhone, you cannot do any sort of that. You cannot put widgets on your home screen. You cannot change the icons. You can literally customize your Galaxy like you want. And as the that is the plus side on an Android phone. It has just more options in general. Now, obviously, you can really screw up your phone and make it look stupid, but it's kind of a preference. I've never hated Apple, but I've never hated Android as well. I've owned both, but I'm sticking with Android. The reason why is because, Samsung, they make the best displays on the market for smartphones at the moment. Even iPhones use Samsung OLED displays and modify them in-house in the iPhone factory, in the Apple factory in California. But still, they buy Samsung displays. It's no secret anymore. So thinking about that, yeah, and with this display, it's just beautiful. Watching content on this, and now obviously my S20 cannot capture the beauty of this screen in, the best way. And if we just play a video right here, I'm gonna turn off the sound because like watching content on this phone is amazing, and especially now that you have a 6.8-inch display, it's amazing. And gaming on this phone is also, I must admit, it's an experience on its own. Now, what I don't like about this phone, because no phone is perfect, the speakers. Like, let's be honest, if we're cranking this up, it lacks bass, it lacks clarity. It's just, it isn't what I would have expected from a, phone like this at this price point. The speakers, I am quite disappointed with them. Now, obviously, sound quality, I rarely use my speakers of my phone. I usually just use my earbuds. Oh, by the way, yeah, new review coming in of the Bang & Olufsen EQ, so stay tuned for that. But yeah, I mostly use my earbuds for music and watching content because they're much better than any kind of speaker could ever be. So what's my overall thought about the S22 Ultra? For me, it's a bit overkill. I must admit, I will rarely use any of the features on this phone, but it's just a nice phone to have. And especially, I just bought it because of the screen. I just wanted a bigger phone. I wanted to watch content. On a bigger phone, it's easier, it's more pleasant, and it's just a nice experience overall. Now, there are two versions of this phone as well. So depending on where you live, you got the Qualcomm Snapdragon 8 Gen 1 chipset, and this is not, of course, the Exynos 2200 because I live in Europe. Now, to be honest, I haven't experienced any kind of lag or frame rate drops or not that I can tell. Maybe if I put it on a benchmark, but I'm not gonna do that because I'm not really I'm not really interested in that kind of stuff. It's like, I know this has the best specs, and that's all that matters to me. And I know there are a lot of people that are hyping up, big YouTubers hyping up phones and saying, yeah, this is the best phone. Okay, it might be the best phone to you, but a lot of people are misguided that this is the best phone, or that the iPhone 12 or iPhone 13 Pro Max is the best phone on the market. Yeah, those two, the S22 Ultra and the iPhone 13 Pro Max, are the best phones on the market. But it all depends on what you use it for. Of course, for YouTubers, this phone would be an amazing thing to have as a YouTuber, or an iPhone 13 Pro Max would be amazing to have as a YouTuber because you create content regularly, you need a good camera, you need that camera stability. Oh yeah, and that's the thing. Filming with this phone, like, it has camera stabilization, and it is very good. Like, I'm gonna shake it, and it doesn't look as shaky. And it's something that Samsung is well known for, their camera stabilization. But for the average user, it's not really that kind of a big deal. So would I recommend spending so much money on an S22 Ultra? In the end, I'm just gonna say I'll leave the choice up to you. If you really need this type of beast, this type of phone, then yeah, go ahead, do it. But for the average consumer, I would say that the S21 Plus is the better option. Anyways, thank you so much for watching this brand new episode of 2022 on Apophis Tech and Reviews. I promise to upload more videos. I have a bunch of content coming up, and I'm sorry for not uploading like 4 to 5 months. In 4 or 5 months, I'm sorry. But I'm back. I have a couple of new things to review, and I hope to see you in the next video. Thank you for watching, and this was my honest review on the Galaxy S22 Ultra.